Locate target. Find subject 626. Okay. She's waking up. Initiate contact. Let's see if there are any biological compromises. Cell count normal. How about a brain scan? Any deficits? Launching on target. Wake time less than 1 minute. Compromised found. Visual aid low. Awareness low. Consciousness medial. Let's push distraction. YouTube launched. Hello?
Kayla Rochelle here, meddling with psychotherapy. What did you gain from that video? What was that all about? Let's talk about it. First of all, it's the human's tendency to naturally fly on autopilot, especially when things are familiar. Have you ever driven from one destination to another and come to realize you don't remember how you got there or what you might have been thinking, feeling, or experiencing all along the way? That's an example of flying on autopilot. It's our brain's ability to repeat something, especially if it's done correctly. So, why might this be an issue? Great question, I'm glad you asked. Some smart person deemed this whole phrase, calling it the default mode network, or DMN. Say that 10 times fast. Basically suggests that the amount of effort that you would have to put in decreases, especially when something is more and more familiar. Think about tying your shoes, think about making scrambled eggs, throwing popcorn into the microwave. These are all things that take a minimal amount of effort, probably because you're highly familiar with doing it. Concentration is minimal, awareness is minimal, typically pretty straightforward. Everything seems simple and easy. So autopilot is beneficial when you don't need full awareness. The times where flying on autopilot becomes challenging or a problem is when it starts to involve an important task or including an important person. I think one of the major things to consider is how a person can snap out of flying on autopilot. It usually happens when there's something unexpected that happens. And so in that short clip that you saw just a moment ago, this person is basically waking up, entering into their normal routine, and within the first 1 to 2 minutes of their wake time, this character is being biohacked by their arch nemesis. Fun little storyline that tries to depict that the character, in their state of minimal awareness, minimal concentration, minimal mental capacity, can be easily compromised to fall victim to distraction. In this case, it was being fed YouTube videos. Now, this could be true with any kind of situation or any kind of scenario. The moment that this character snaps out of distraction really came when they got the boss's phone call. I think that depicts that it was unexpected, that depicts that this person, the character, was not expecting or anticipating for something to happen. As it relates to mental health, I wanted to pull in this concept of flying on autopilot as an attempt for a person to deal with depression. We see a depression, we can kind of make sense of this by utilizing a depression compression model. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? Basically, there's 3 components that would fuel a person's depressive experience. The first component could be a lack of mindful, chosen daily activities, avoidance of trying to solve emotionally loaded problems, fusion with rules that lead to rejection of unwanted thoughts, feelings, memories, images, or sensation. Well, we've already talked about what would lead a person to fly on autopilot. Let's chat about why a person might want to avoid difficult situations. It typically relates to the matter of painful experiences that are associated with that difficult challenge, that difficult situation. There's this sort of paradox that we're faced with. Oftentimes, we can easily become enamored by thinking that avoiding people, places, or things would bring us rest and solitude and all of the beneficial feelings and emotion that a person can use to resolve some of that depression. The opposite ends up being true. Out of a person's attempt to avoid painful experiences by withdrawing and seeking solitude will eventually lead this person to feeling lonely. And so depressive behaviors can become predictable. In some ways, people can fall victim to thinking that a situation can care for itself, or simply just let time pass and the error or the concern can be corrected on its own. I think what that concept depicts is these rules are essentially concepts that a person has made up in their mind to believe about how life ought to go, right? In other words, people, because of some emotional reasoning that they're able to muster up, it then becomes this sense of reality. The thing that a person can do, simply put, is just recognize that emotional reasoning does not equal your reality. Even though depression feels very real, the thing that's causing the depression is what's to question. Did the thing that made you feel depressed really happen? Did a person outwardly say those statements that made you feel depressed? Did this action really take place that made you feeling depressed? It feels very real, but the reality of those scenarios playing out might be highly unlikely if it was built on emotional reasoning. One of the things that I wanted to clarify is that I am not saying that depression is all in your head. Please don't misunderstand me. What I'm encouraging is for you to take a look at some of the motivating factors that might be fueling depression. A lot of those factors can come across as thoughts or perceptions. How have you perceived a situation to have happened versus in reality, what was actually said, what was actually done? A person who uses emotional reasoning fuses with those rules. This is how life is supposed to go. This is how things ought to be. This person should have, fill in the break. Those are rules that a person has established in their mind that lead to rejection of unwanted thoughts, feelings, memories, emotions, sensations. Rather than flying on autopilot, a person can learn to live a vital life, a flexible lifestyle by incorporating these 3 characteristic traits instead. Number 1, mindful behavior of a chosen lifestyle. Actively choosing what thing you desire to incorporate into your life. So AKA cut out all of the shoulds, I'm supposed to's, and do it, right? Actively live a value-based lifestyle that includes problem solving. Rather than avoiding the situation or allowing time to simply pass by to correct itself, be active in problem solving. Find solutions, work with a trusted peer or mentor on how you can come up with solutions to the problems that you're facing. And 3, working on taking an accepted stance toward unwanted private experiences. One of the best things that you can remember, or if there's any takeaway from this video, is understanding that vitality does not exist in isolation. One way that you can boost a life of vitality is by increasing your awareness and acceptance to some of the more challenging experiences. It's easier for you to stay in the moment and to live a mindful, intentional lifestyle. I'll put it simply for you. If you can increase your familiarity with addressing personal challenges, you build awareness to the kind of internal experiences that you have, and by default, your tolerance to manage difficult challenges and to manage difficult times grows. You become more tolerant to negative internal experiences. The situations themselves might not get easier, but your ability to cope with it can. I'll see you in the next one.